as most of you know, and for the ones of viewers who are new and don't know, I am a recovered heroin addict, and I am just a recovered drug addict. And I have dealt with depression and anxiety a lot in my life. In today's episode, I'm going to go over 6 things that helped me deal with my depression. If you, and also, I'm using a new microphone today. Let me know if y'all can hear me just fine, if it's too loud, if it needs to be changed. I'm still waiting on my camera to come in so I can switch to my new platform and the new setup I've got. Until then, I'm just going to have to make this work. Thanks, Jeremy. I'm sorry about that. No, my brain went off. Anyway, so first, let me start off by saying I still to this day take full responsibility for any of the harm that I caused people in my life, especially when it comes to my children. I made choices throughout my life that put me in a position to lose my children, and I understand that, but it's difficult sometimes when I'm talking about this because it affects me so much more than what people realize. And I'll just start off by saying this. Yes, I should have had consequences, but to the extent that they have gone has been brutal, and dealing with that has been difficult. For instance, let me just give you this. For my youngest child, when me and the girl split, her parents got involved, and when they got involved, they hired very expensive attorneys, and I couldn't afford an attorney at the time. So what they did was I went to court, and they pushed me into a CPS thing, to a program to finish all of that, and I did all of that, and I went even further than what they asked me to do. So when the court date comes and I show up to court, I walk in front of the judge. I'm alone by myself. She's with her mother and their very costly attorneys who are fighting against me. We go through the whole thing, and I'm just going to kind of shorten it down for you guys. We go through the whole process. The CPS lady tells the judge that I've done everything and beyond, and he still looks me dead in the face and takes my child from me and gives it to them. And the only thing I can think is, you know what? I can't afford an attorney, but I showed up. I did what you wanted. I went through all of it, and you still took my child from me. That sent me into a deep depression for a long time, and it continued. That was one of my excuses to continue using and doing the things that I was doing. And now for another instance with my second child, that one I should still be able to get to see to this day. Me and the mother have had our issues back and forth, yes, but I've done my very best in trying to get along with her, work with her, and to see my son. And when I moved back to town, she allowed my son back in my life. He started to come see me. Things were starting to get good. And then just out of nowhere, out of the blue, she yanks him right back out of my life. Now, this is the same. It's beyond frustrating. Y'all have no idea how frustrating it is when the state gets involved between two parents. The state destroys the father at all costs. They will put, and I'm not saying that the father shouldn't step up and do that. That's not what I mean. Like I said, I take full responsibility for my actions, and the consequences I've dealt with, like I said, I do admit that I should have had consequences, but not to the extent that this is happening. And they have been put in and out of he's been put in and out of my life. And this last time, I don't even know why. She yanked him out of my life. Stop talking to me again. But you can bet she wants money. So, and then my oldest child, I won't go too deep into that yet, but when she was younger, and she was coming over to my home, when I finally made the choice to allow her new husband to adopt my daughter, the reason of that was because my daughter was coming over to my house and she didn't know what to call me. I had to look in my little girl's eyes, and she was confused on if I was her dad or if he was her dad. So in that moment, I did what I thought would be best, and I allowed him to adopt her. Now, all of these things have caused a lot of depression, anxiety. They caused me to use and to continue to do things that I shouldn't have been doing, and those are not excuses. I'm just the point of this video is I'm going into the things that helped me learn how to deal with these issues that I was dealing with. And I'm sorry again, guys. I know this episode is going to be a little different. It's so close to home. I'm trying to not get emotional about it. So I'm just going to jump right on into it. So when I first started learning to do this, this is what I had to do. And I was in a deep depression. I wouldn't get out of bed. I didn't want to leave the house. I wouldn't leave the house, would not leave the house. And when I did leave the house, I'd have such horrible panic attacks thinking everybody was out to get me. They were looking at me. They knew what was going on. They could just tell by looking at me. This is my mind convincing myself that everybody around me knows that I'm a deadbeat, worthless dad. I'm a deadbeat, worthless drug addict. I'm a deadbeat this, and it was constant battle with my own mind. I literally had to lock myself away and start doing these things, and not even knowing at the time that I was doing these things to make it better. I just over time, I started to recognize that these things were actually helping me. I was becoming a better person. My anxiety was falling away, my depression. So this is what I started to do, and hopefully this will help at least one person if you are dealing with depression and anxiety and addiction and all those things. Maybe, just maybe, this will help you start to learn how you can start to progress and get past depression. And not only that, when you start to notice it come back, these are the exact same things I do to this day that continue to still help me. And for anybody in my life that knows me, they can comment on the video and tell you exactly how much I have progressed and how much this does work for me. So I had to force myself to do at least one chore a day. This helped me to start seeing progress. It helped me to get out of the bed. It helped me to get out of my mind. I would find, even if it was just washing dishes, sweeping the floor, mopping the floor, anything that would get me moving. And then second, what I would do is I'd try to find someone else who may need help of some sort, or offer to do something for somebody else. I even did this a lot online. I would talk a lot with people online. I would help my neighbor next door mow their grass. I'd go over there and help them do things all the time. And no matter how small, and even if I complained to myself, I still pushed myself to do this. What I soon realized is I was helping myself much more than I was helping that other person. And it doesn't have to be something big, and it doesn't have, it's just the work of getting out of yourself, giving to somebody else. And the third thing I did is I would force myself to talk with my wife about what was going on. And when I say force myself, you know how we like, especially men, we have a hard time, especially when it comes to depression and anxiety and stuff like that. We have a hard time wanting to talk about it because it makes us look weak. It makes us feel weak. It makes us, oh, I don't know the word for it. It's brutal and it's very difficult. So I had to start, when I say force myself, I literally had to force myself to sit down and start texting my wife what was going on in my head at that moment and be just brutally honest with whatever was going on with me. And this kept me honest and working towards something. When I tell her something, it pushes me to really try harder, as I don't want to let her down. In doing so, it brought me and her much closer together. I started realizing I wasn't as depressed as I thought I was, and I've become a better communicator and more honest in my daily life in doing so. And if you don't have a wife, if you don't have a significant other, a family member, a best friend, it doesn't matter. Find somebody, one person, latch on to them and be honest. Honest to the point where they get tired of you being honest with them. And then it just becomes natural, and that's the way you want to do that. You want to, at least for me, it was the repetition of being able to do that. And I started to slowly realize when I was just doing just those few things, I started over time realizing the depression was going away, or it wasn't, I don't know if I'd say going away, but it wasn't affecting me as much as it was in the past. My mind had started to shift, and I started to view things a lot differently. And like I said, especially when it comes to my kids. That's why I brought that up, so y'all could. And the reason I did that was to try and get y'all to understand just how difficult it can be for me sometimes, but I still push myself to do it. And then the next thing I suggest is find a hobby. For me, this was learning to grow foods and politics. This is when I really started getting more involved in politics, and I ordered me a hydroponic setup. I'd never grown food in my life, knew nothing about it at all, and I just started doing those things every day. And so, that has helped me tremendously, especially when I get get on my feelings. I can go outside. I can start playing with my plants. It gives me something to do. It also helps me see progress. It helps me feel like I am accomplishing something. It reminds me that I can be successful. And it also reminds me that I can learn something new. And the reason I put it like that is because a lot of my depression comes from my mind telling me that I can't do this or I can't do that because of my failures in the past. Instead of going, you know what, I failed in the past, but I tried. And now look at how much further I am. I may have failed, but I still have grown because I tried. And last but not least, God. I would not and I could not be the man I am today and am becoming without seeking God. And I have to do that on a daily basis. That was not easy for me. I fought with it. I was very bitter towards God. I was angry at life. I was angry not necessarily at other people, but myself and at God. And I found a scripture that I read this one every day. It still helps me every day, but especially when I was dealing with trying to get past the depression, anxiety, and all of that. It's the Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, and always acknowledge him, and he will make your straight path, something like that. I can't remember, or I thought I had it remembered, but he will clear the way for you. And that right there helps me tremendously. And I get on here. I do a lot more now. This is just, the list was just what I did when when I first started trying to deal with my depression, because I can't take pills. I can't take pharmaceuticals because they destroy my life. So I can't go to a doctor and get anything like that from them. I had to find natural ways, and I had to find ways to seek God, I guess would be the best way to put it. But in doing all of this, I mean, in just a few short years, I can look back and my life is completely different. Like, I don't even recognize me sometimes. I don't. Some of the things that I do, I don't even recognize me, because I've practiced these things, so it starts to come natural to me now. So when I'm doing something, driving down the road, and something comes up, I immediately start doing some of these things in my head. I step back and look at what's going on, and deal with it and move past it. And I found that this stuff works for me tremendously. And if y'all have any comments on any of the stuff I said, I know this episode's kind of been sporadic, and I'm sorry about that. I still get emotional when talking about my children. So you are not alone is the main thing. You're not alone. Somebody, message me. If you're having a hard time, comment, message me. I will talk with you. I know when you're in that moment, it feels like you're alone, and your mind will completely stop you from reaching out for help. That's exactly what the devil wants. It was to keep you right in that spot, in the same old cycle, and then cycling through that depression back and forth while you're getting worse and worse and worse and worse. The main thing for me is getting out of myself, helping others. And that's what does it for me. I truly hope that some of this registers with some of y'all. And I'm sorry, in my brain, I feel like this episode went all over the place, and it may not have. Thank you for watching this episode. I'm going to do more on this, and I'm going to do it in a better way, in a more structured way, to where it seems to make more sense. But I promise you, if you start on doing some of these things on this list that I went over, it will start to help you. It will. You may not even see it at first, and the more important thing is, over time you will start to realize these little things are helping you. It is those small things that you're doing that will help you the most in the end. It really is. These doctors want to put you on all kind of meds that end up actually forcing you not to do any of these things, because the meds you take end up making you drowsy, sleepy, and you can't do anything else. You're not actually moving to better yourself. You're just putting a Band-Aid on it. So if you truly want to get past addiction, get past depression, anxiety, and all of these things, you got to start digging deep within yourself. You got to start seeking something outside of yourself. You've got to do something to help others. And if you just do those things, I guarantee you will start to feel better, and it will just start coming natural to you. And one day you'll realize, God, I haven't been depressed, or it hasn't bothered me in a very long time. Again, thank you all for all the support y'all have already given us. If you like this video, if you comment on it, share it, it helps us tremendously get it out to more people. You can also help support us with the stars on Facebook. There are other ways. This podcast will be on Podbean, and it's going to be a little different from here on out, because I'm switching over to Podbean, and I don't think I can live stream straight to Facebook, so I'll have to come back and post the videos later here. But I will also have a link where you can go to the website directly and watch it there as well. Thank you again, and I truly hope that I didn't sound too scatterbrained in this video, because in my mind I did. Y'all have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys tomorrow.